Hello everybody, Merry Christmas to all of you. Welcome back to the Sales on Demand Show. My name is Adam. I am the host. The Sales on Demand Show has been your favorite print-on-demand podcast for over 2 years now. This is episode 125. Today is going to be a recap of how did the year 2021 go and what is going to happen in 2022. So, let's get into it. This will be the last show this year because I don't really have much else to say about this year, and I'm planning to say everything that, needs to be said in this episode. It's now basically the end of the year. It's the 23rd of December. Everything that needed to be done is already done. There is nothing left to be done for this particular year. So I'm enjoying some time off. I'm just hanging out with my family, going skating, maybe planning some skiing or something like that into my day. The weather outside is kind of cold, so there's not much you can do, but, enjoying some time off is definitely going to be on my list of things to do. So, of course, if you want to know how I got started doing print on demand, you can join my bootcamp series. Go to salesondemandshow.com/start. All right, so how did things go this year? Well, I would have to say that overall 2021, it had a rough start. In fact, it had a very rough start. When when the clock turned over from 2020 to 2021, nothing really changed. We had gone into a really hard lockdown in December of last year. And that lockdown lasted until basically May. And it was, in some cases, it was June before we were allowed to do anything. So I was an angry fellow the first bit of the year. And I think I had a right to be angry because the government was basically trying to destroy my mental health as well as the mental health of everybody around me. In May, I got vaccinated. We all thought that the vaccine was going to basically just be the end of the pandemic. Obviously, that wasn't the case, but I don't regret my decision to go get the vaccine. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I didn't have any side effects from it, and so I feel like it was, for me, a good decision. I wouldn't even dare to tell anybody what they should do with their life or their body. It's none of my business, what you do. But I'm telling you that, make a personal decision that is not based on politics. Make a decision that is based around you. Make your own decision, be your own person. That's all I can tell you, right? So that was a rough start to the year. In fact, the entire first half of the year was just a real slog. Things were going okay, but it just, mentally speaking, it just seemed like we would never get out of this tailspin of lockdowns. I could foresee economic disaster coming, and I'm like, this is not good. I didn't like what was happening. And then by the summer, the government kind of just took the boot off the neck and kind of had a quasi-normal summer. It wasn't too bad. A lot of things could have happened that didn't happen, like we didn't have any summer camps again, but, we had something at least. So now, as far as the numbers went this year, I'll talk about some of my personal stuff, my personal growth, and we'll talk about business stuff too. So I did just a tad under 100,000 in total sales this year. Sales were down from 2020, and that is because the first half of the year was actually pretty soft. There were a lot of people in the United States that weren't under lockdown in the first half of the year, like the entire state of Florida and Texas. So they were going out and buying. They weren't buying as many things online, which meant that Mother's Day and Father's Day where normally you would get a lot of sales, it was actually pretty quiet. Much fewer sales than normal years. So that definitely affected how many sales I got for the entire year. And then at Christmas time, we had a really good Christmas. Like, my Christmas sales were probably the best I've ever had. The biggest problem being that Amazon restricted how many products I was able to send. So that's basically going to limit the amount of growth that I can have with Amazon.com. So this year my focus is diversifying, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Etsy, of course, was down a little bit in total sales. Not really that much, and not something that was unusual for me. Other top sellers reported the same thing, that their sales were down from 2020. 2020 was like the highest sales year ever. It was just also a disaster in terms of getting products out the door. So I actually was happy to have a little bit fewer sales and much fewer like shipping problems and broken items and missing items and stuff like that. So, business-wise, shipping and all that stuff-wise, there weren't very many problems this year. In fact, looking back to 2020, I had probably like 30 or 40 products that were late. I had late shipments on Amazon all the time. Like every day, something was late. Now, Amazon wasn't penalizing people for late shipments, so I was like, okay, well, whatever. I didn't really worry too much about it. But this year, nothing like that at all happened. The suppliers were on top of things. They were able to get products out the door, faster than they'd promised. And by the last, I'll call it the last week before this one, mugs and everything was pretty much getting printed and shipped within a day or two, just like they are during the rest of the year. So I was pretty happy with that. The suppliers that I used did a very good job at making sure that they shipped everything out accurately. They didn't have any switcheroos, so I didn't get a lot of people telling me that they got the wrong product. I did have some, which is normal. I mean, human error is a thing, so that did happen a few times, and I just dealt with it. So, not too much this year. Normal, minimal problems. More so in the last half of the year. So, the first half of the year was a rough slog, and I'm glad that it's over. I mean, it was tough. The last half felt more normal than any point that I can remember so far. And personally, my personal growth this year was quite high. And I finished the year with almost $80,000 in liquid assets total. So, our family finances are doing the best that I've ever had, basically. So, yeah, it's a pretty good year altogether. So my business goals for 2022 is, as I said already, I need more income streams. And I'll tell you a little bit more about this Amazon thing. So, Amazon.com, normally I would send in as many coffee mugs as I possibly can, right? And other top sellers too. We make a lot of our money from Amazon FBA. In fact, one of the core parts of my training program is how to use Amazon FBA to make loads of money over Christmas with almost no effort whatsoever. And again, this year, like the last month of this year, I have been not working very hard at all. So I worked hard in October and November because I needed to get mugs, printed, shipped out the door. I had to do things for students. It was very busy, especially October. I worked really hard in October, like morning till night, like entire weeks in a row. I was working every weekend. It was really busy. And I'm actually not unhappy at all that the last month of the year was fairly quiet for me, because I was expecting it to be much busier, And the fact that I had a little bit more time to spare actually was a nice relief. So, but Amazon limited how many mugs I could send in. Now, if I'd had more space, I could have made more sales, because Amazon FBA always dominates Christmas sales. I mean, I did sell a lot of non-FBA, what we call FBM. That's the print-on-demand of the print-on-demand world, right? So when someone orders it, it just gets printed and shipped. But FBA is when you pre-print and ship items to Amazon, and then Amazon ships them out when they sell. So it's a really easy way to make money. Amazon does all of the customer service. They handle any returns. You don't have to do anything except get your product to the Amazon warehouse on time. So it's a really awesome way to make almost passive sales. Basically every day I would just log in and look at my Amazon seller account just to see how many sales I've made. I think my best day was 50 sales. But that wasn't just a spike. That was pretty consistent throughout an entire 3 or 4 week period. I was doing close to $1,000 in sales every single day for about 3 weeks on Amazon. So that was nice. And if I had more space, I probably could have done better. So obviously the whole space issue with Amazon is going to be an issue moving forward. And I don't really see any way around this. And this is the problem with relying on one platform to kind of make all your money for you, is that one platform might not perform as well for you. But put together, multiple platforms, and by platform I mean like Amazon.com or Etsy or Amazon Japan or Amazon Canada. Those are different platforms. So I'm going to be maximizing other platforms to start making more money, because it looks like I'm not going to be able to pull too much more out of Amazon.com. Now, obviously I can work harder on making sales outside of Christmas, and I will be, but I still don't think that I'll be able to top maybe like $150,000, maybe $200,000 in sales a year just on Amazon.com. I don't think it's going to be very easy to top that. So I'm going to have to, if I want to be a millionaire, and I do, I want to be a millionaire, I need to look at other platforms. So Canada, obviously, is one of those platforms that did really well for me this year. It's nothing to write home about, but I probably made $5,000 or $6,000 worth of sales just in Canada. And I maybe could have done better than that if I had really focused on it a little bit more. Now, I think what I'm going to be doing with Canada is I'm going to look for some non-print-on-demand products to sell in Canada. Canada is basically a growing marketplace, whereas the US is it's not growing in the same way that Canada is. It's true that Amazon is building new warehouses in the United States, so there is growth going on there, but it's also much more competitive too, right? So the rate of growth in how many sellers are selling is basically exceeding the growth rate of the customer base. So everybody's competing for basically the same amount of customers. Whereas in Canada, that's not really the case. The number of customers is growing, but the number of sellers isn't necessarily growing as well. So there's lots of opportunities for someone like me to come in, send some products to Canada for FBA, and of course I can ship them right from my house. So I might, bring them in from China or something like that, package them in my own packaging or have them packaged like that, and then just label them and ship them to an Amazon warehouse that is basically an hour and a half from my house. So that is something that I've thought about doing. It's really easy to do. I am already set up to do it, and I probably just need to decide what kind of product to sell. I also have been looking at Amazon Japan. And the reason I'm looking at Japan is that it is also a strong growing marketplace. And I think that all of us living in North America, we need to start accepting the fact that North America is just not a place to build all of your business. Don't put all of your eggs in the North America basket. Realize that the rest of the world, places like Brazil, India, I mean, obviously China is a powerhouse, but small countries that aren't necessarily that small. They have a growing population of people who are becoming more wealthy by the day. So I think, what was someone saying? Turkey? Like Turkey is having an Amazon marketplace set up there. It's still very, very new, and obviously there's going to be some growth pains, but places like Turkey and maybe even Egypt and Brazil, those are going to be the economic powerhouses of the next century. And if you want to make money, invest in those marketplaces now, or at least in the next 5 years, and you'll grow along with them. Whereas the U.S. marketplace, I don't know what the future of the U.S. is, right? So I'm not going to put a ton of effort investing into the U.S. marketplace. I think this year is the year for me to diversify into other localities, And Japan is a good one. They do have an aging population, so that could be an issue. They do have issues with inflation too. Like they're basically doing the same thing the U.S. is, printing a lot of money. But I mean, it's just a different marketplace, and it's good to diversify. So I'm going to be. I've already got the Amazon Japan account open, and obviously the question is what to sell. So I'll be hiring somebody to do some research to see what I can set up for to sell in Japan. And it's probably not going to be print-on-demand stuff. It's just going to be a regular, ordinary product, something maybe in the kitchen category, so some kind of food preparation item. But I'm basically going to have somebody do some research for me, and then I will select a product, find a supplier, and ship some product to Japan and see how things go there. Now, I have some money to invest in this project, and obviously there's some risk, right? So this is not something that I'm expecting to take off and be profitable right away. I may have to invest, maybe not super heavily in it, but I'll probably be putting, $5,000 to $7,000 into this project over the coming year. And that's fine. I've got that money to invest. And this is why multiple income streams is the way to build a business, right? So you take the profits from one income stream and you just build another one. A lot of people, when they get profit, they spend it, right? That's the normal, North American thing to do. Like you get a pay raise, and what do? You go out and buy a steak dinner, and then you upgrade your car. I mean, that's what people seem to want to do. And I know that probably my listeners might be a little bit different because, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably already kind of like an entrepreneur and you're not really, the spendy, consumey type. But that is what people in North America do. And you can see those cars driving around on the road all the time, right? People are buying new cars. They're buying a Tesla or some other, fancy thing. They spend their money. And when they get more money, they spend that money too. It's just not something that people in North America do to instinctually take their money and reinvest it in something to earn more money. But that's what wealthy people do. And that's what I'm going to do, right? I want to be one of these people that has lots of wealth. Not because I want, I don't know. Like, I've often asked myself, like, why do I want to be rich? As if I need a reason. But I think I do need a reason, right? Being rich just for the sake of having a lot of money, I don't know if that's enough of a justification. It's what you can do with that money that makes it worthwhile, right? So there's experiences that you can have with that money. Also, if you have money, then you're not beholden. Like, you're not at risk of somebody taking away your standard of living. So, if I had a paid off house and lots of food stored and steady income streams from sources that the government can't shut down, then when the government says, oh, we're doing some climate lockdowns, it's not going to affect my standard of living, right? I've even considered the idea of buying an airplane, because I honestly think that the government is going to try and prohibit people from flying. Like, obviously, travel is something that's really important to me. But if you can't get on an airplane, you can't travel. So having the freedom to travel whenever you want means that maybe I got to buy my own airplane or something like that. I don't know. I've been looking into it. We'll see. It's much more complicated than simply buying an airplane, obviously. But I'm looking at every possible option, including the ones that are kind of off the wall. Other things that I'm looking for in business are more automation. So I need to build a workflow for all of my platforms that doesn't involve me doing all of the work. So hiring and building a team is going to become a very important part of this whole thing. And it's going to be more complex than probably than I really realize just talking about it here, but it's going to be very important to do. More automation. So, hiring people to go and do research, hiring people to create designs, hiring people to write product descriptions or take pictures or create, the images or mock-ups or whatever like that. That's going to become more important. And I may have to hire somebody to oversee like other people. So I might have to hire somebody who's like a manager. But you know what? That's fine. I'm willing to do that because that's how you grow. You hire people, you build out. More people doing more work equals more revenue. So that's what I need to be doing this year. I also want to start doing some advertising on TikTok and other similar video platforms. I really think that advertising print-on-demand items is going to be a very profitable way to earn money. I did an interview a while ago with a fellow named Jonathan Foltz, who is the owner of Aphrodite's. Aphrodite's, if you go to Aphrodites.com, you'll see that they sell jewelry on that platform. And Gear Bubble has just recently introduced a lot of really nice jewelry, and I have been selling it. And honestly, it's actually selling pretty good. I didn't launch very much of it. I just didn't have time. But again, this is something that I need to build some automation into. I need to hire somebody to create more designs, launch those designs, and then I'll make more money because there's lots of profit in jewelry. And man, some of the jewelry that Gear Bubble has is just beautiful. They have one necklace that they call the Phoenix, and it's got a crystal in the middle of it. And like, the pictures don't do it justice, but this thing is just amazing. So this is the way of print on demand, is higher value products that you sell for more money, and you offer upgrades like a luxury box or gift wrap and personalized gift notes. I mean, those are things that increase the overall value of one sale. So that's what I'm hoping to do. And again, it's going to take some time to learn and create the content for that, but I hope to get into that a decent amount this year. My personal goals, as if that wasn't enough to have a bunch of business goals, I really think that even if you're working hard, you do need to pull back from work and focus on yourself. Like, are you becoming a better person? Not necessarily, are you becoming more wealthy? Because wealth doesn't make you better. It just doesn't. I'm sorry, but having a bunch of money in the bank doesn't really mean much if you're becoming more unhealthy by the month. Like, earning double what you make now, and becoming more unhealthy would actually be a negative thing on your life. You'd be better off making what you make now and staying healthy than doubling your income and becoming more unhealthy because of that. So one of my personal goals this year is just restricting how much work I'm doing. I don't think I can do another month where I'm just working day, morning to night. So it means giving some work to other people. And honestly, I am totally fine with doing that. There's just only so much work that a person can do. And I am heavily involved in a coaching program for Rachel Raffay, and I need to start training some other people to take on some of the roles that I'm doing, just because I can't do it all myself. And if we scale up the program, it's going to become even harder to do that all myself. So this year, I actually hope to work a little bit less, but also just smarter, working a little bit smarter, not doing things that are kind of menial tasks that don't need to be done by me, just doing the really challenging and difficult things that I tend to be good at, so that my time is maximized. But also, I need to focus on investing the money that I'm earning. So, now that I'm earning, real money, I don't know what to do with it. It's not something that I've ever had to really think about. When I was working for the government, and man, I was working for the government for 15 years. I've never really had a job that my income was independent of the hours worked. I've always had either a salary job or an hourly wage job where it's okay, this is how much I make, this is how many hours I work. I go in to work, punch in, do the work, punch out, go home. That's always been the kind of, work that I've been doing. I always have some kind of side thing going on because, that's just how I am. But my income was always just keeping up with my expenses. But now I'm almost out of debt. In fact, I just looked at my debt. I got $7,300 left. And I could pay that off right now. I could take cash and just pay it off. But I'm not paying it off right yet because I might need that money to invest in something else. So my debt is pretty low interest, and it's not really a burden for me to pay it. So for me, investing, which means either investing in someone else's business or in my own business, these are things that I need to focus on. I've got crypto investments. Yes, I know that crypto is pretty decent as an investment. It's not everything though, right? I think probably the maximum that I would invest in crypto of any kind is maybe a third of your profits. Maybe a third. Silver and gold is a pretty decent investment, but it's not really gaining in value these days. It's just something to have as a end of the world thing, right? So I've got silver and gold sitting in my safe at home. Not a ton of it, mind you. Enough that, if something happened, I could probably trade with local people to buy some stuff. It's kind of what I think it would be better for. Silver and gold used to be really good investments, but then crypto kind of overtook them, and crypto is much more liquid, and it's obviously a better speculative investment than silver and gold. So again, putting all of your eggs in one basket is just not a good idea. What I really want to take my money and put it in is more businesses, right? Now, crypto isn't a business. Sorry, but it's not. Crypto is just, I hate to say this, but it's kind of gambling. Same with NFTs and all that stuff. I have no idea how to use NFTs. And honestly, at this point, I just don't think that I'm going to even bother to learn. I know that lots of people are making decent money with NFTs, but they're also spending 10 hours a day thinking about it and looking at it and trading that stuff. It just doesn't interest me at all. So what I really want to invest in is just like solid businesses, things that'll earn a 10% return every year or better, because I have to outpace inflation or I'll lose money. I'll lose purchasing power on the money. I'll have more dollars, but those dollars will be worth less and less money all the time. And I want to focus on businesses that have long-term track records, because I'm young. I'm a young guy. I'm not in any rush to make a lot of money and then, bail out. I have plenty of time ahead of me to focus on investing in things that have long-term value. So if that means investing in like physical businesses, I'm fine with that. Even if those physical businesses take 5 years to make any returns, I'm not in a rush. Not in a rush. I have plenty of time to build these things and keep investing in them. So yeah, I need to learn more about that, or at least get some of that going on. Also, I need to, get some kind of accountant on my finances so I can, hopefully not pay a crap load of money in taxes. I know that I'm going to have to pay some taxes this year, so some of my liquid assets are going to be going to that. But it's just part of the deal. You got to pay taxes. Then, of course, personally, I want to keep working on eating healthy and working out. Now, of course, I've probably talked about this a little bit over the course of the last 18 months, but this has become really important to me. And as I get older, it just becomes more and more important, not less and less important. I know people my age who are my age, but they look like they're 20 years older because they're just treating their body like garbage. And I work a job where I'm sitting down all the time. So it would be very easy for me to become very unhealthy. Like eating at your desk is kind of a dangerous thing. I've done it all year, right? I'm eating lunch at my desk. Sometimes I'm eating supper at my desk, and this takes much more effort when you get older than it does when you're younger. Like my kids can pretty much eat whatever they want, although we don't let them. They could and still maintain a relatively healthy weight and a healthy, appearance. When you get to be age 40, it just doesn't work like that anymore. You just cannot afford to destroy your body with unhealthy habits. And in fact, I would say that your focus on being healthy and eating healthy has never been more important than it is in 2021. Because, guess what the major risk factors for COVID are, right? People who are unhealthy. The average person who died of COVID had 2 comorbidities. And one of those comorbidities is obesity. Now, I guess I can't entirely blame people for being unhealthy, since the government seems focused on closing down everything that people like to use to be healthy, like the gyms and, group workout classes. I tell this to people and I'm like, listen, people need workout classes and they need the gym. And then they say, well, just go for a walk outside, blah, 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 work out at home. Like, listen, that's not enough. People need to work out together. Group workouts are always more effective than individual workouts, and nobody, almost nobody has gym equipment in their house. Now, I do. I've actually been building myself a home gym because I see the writing on the wall, and I'm like, okay, looks like the government's going to keep doing this, unless we overthrow them or something like that. But barring, a revolution, the government's just going to keep shutting down your ability to stay fit. They're going to keep shutting down your ability to just go out and do things. So if you want to be able to continue to do these things, you have to build your own, gym at home. And I know that, a lot of people don't have this. And it's not cheap, but it's actually not as expensive as you might think. So over the last year, I I fixed up a treadmill that I bought. I think maybe it cost me $1,000 to fix it up. It's not an amazing treadmill. There are better treadmills out there, but it's pretty decent. And honestly, I can go on the treadmill, do 45 minutes of running. I'll just put on a movie. I'm currently working on the Die Hard series, so I just throw on 45 minutes of some movie or something like that, and then I will just go and run, and you can kind of shut your brain off, and I actually really enjoy that a lot. I enjoy it as much as I enjoyed running outside. Running outside is better, in my opinion, but right now in Canada, it's freezing. And it wouldn't be so bad if it was just cold, but it's cold and windy, which makes running outside extremely miserable. I don't want to do this miserable. So I try to get out, go for a walk as often as possible, but I'm just not, interested in freezing my off running outside. So having a treadmill was pretty important for me. And I've also, I bought some adjustable weights. So it just sits on this little rack, and you can dial in the weight that you want. And then I'll pick up, the 25-pound version of the weight. I'll do some arm curls, then I'll put it back down, dial it into 50 pounds, and then do some, basically chest workout on a bench. And all of that cost me, it was probably $400, $500. But it was an investment in my health. And I would pay double that to get the equipment if I needed to. Because being healthy is going to keep me alive longer. It's funny, people will spend thousands of dollars on frivolous nonsense. I mean, people spend thousands of dollars on video games and, Netflix streaming and stuff like that, which, it does sort of improve your quality of life. But if you tell them, hey, go and buy a pair of weights from Walmart, they're like, oh man, these weights are like $80. I don't have $80 to spare. You do, you just spent it on, eating out at Wendy's. So again, it's really important to me to stay healthy and to be as healthy as possible. So I've also been doing a little bit of a special diet. I don't know if I want to call it a special diet. It's more of just like an eating routine, and it's actually working really well. It's doing what I needed it to do, which is stop me from gaining weight. Because if I just eat all day long, I will gain weight. Last year over the Christmas period, I gained 15 pounds, which is not good. So this year, I'm like, all right, here's my eating plan. I'll eat for 8 hours a day. I'll eat what I normally eat, which I'm not doing keto or anything like that. I'm not doing the carnivore diet. I'm just eating the normal food that I eat, which is bread and meat, and I make stew, and I eat vegetables and cut down on sugar as much as possible. I don't crave sugar that much, so it's not really that big of a deal. We've always been pretty good at eating healthy, but it's just eating too much. And, cutting down on the number of hours that you eat actually works really well. So it's the easiest diet for me. It's called Intermittent Fasting, and basically for me, what it is I eat from noon to 8 every day. So right now, I have a black coffee in front of me, and that's it. I don't eat breakfast, and I don't eat any bedtime snacks, except sometimes I do because I'm weak, but 90% of the time, I eat from noon to 8, and I've managed to keep my weight in the same range that it has been all year. And this is it's actually a really easy eating plan to follow because you're eating the same food that you're used to. It's just that you have to eat inside a certain window, and your body gets used to that. This is how people used to survive, is that they would just eat inside a certain window. Sometimes they would go without food for 16, 18, 20 hours, right? And your body adapts to that pretty readily. So I find that, by noon, I'm not really even that hungry. I I get hungrier in the evening. So that's definitely a more difficult part of it. But I can keep pushing on this, and it's not that difficult to do. I've gotten used to it, and it's actually working quite well. So that's my focus for this coming year. And I encourage you guys to do something. Like, don't allow yourself to give an inch on anything, right? It's not just about earning money. It's about, developing better relationships with your family. If that's something that's going to make your life better, then focus on it. If you are in the same boat as me, you're getting older, and you're like, man, I'm becoming more unhealthy, then make that a priority. Make that a huge priority, because I don't know who said it, but it's true. Health is wealth. And you can't earn health except with hard work. It does take hard work. You can't outsource that to anybody else. I mean, you can buy a business and pay people to run it for you and make a lot of money, but you can't outsource your health to anybody else. That's something that is just you. I mean, you can hire people, I guess, to train you, but even then, you're still doing the work. So get used to it. But it's great. I enjoy it. I like working hard. I've never been afraid of working hard, and I'm not afraid to do it now. So, all right. Well, that was 2021. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll see you again in the wonderful 2022. Adios.